So I'm getting everything prepped up for paint. And this is a trick that everybody should know when they're doing this kind of work is, where's my foil? There it is. What you want to do is take some foil, and a lot of people get amazed when I show this to them. We got our buddy Sandblaster Steve that used to tape everything off with tape. I think you used to too until I told you to use foil. Am I right? So what you do with all these cables and everything that you don't want to paint, you just take foil like this. Okay, we got 2 more over here. Let's go ahead and cover those. We don't want to paint this. This is our throttle cable. Dang it, look at that. I don't think I'll get paint on the end down here. So, there's one more little piece for this cable here. Cover this. Now, Minnie's going to be covering this rotisserie with plastic so we don't get black paint on it. But so it's real important when you cover your wires, use foil. I'll tell you, I don't know what's up with this. Cheaper tape, more expensive. You ever notice that? Huh?
Yeah.
Products are cheaper made and it's more money. We definitely don't want to get any paint on this. This is our block. And we did order brand new wire harnesses for it. I didn't realize when I ordered them that they're made to order. So we got to wait a month to get them. And I did take the wiper motor and the power booster out of the vehicle. And then what I did on the top here, let me go ahead and show you. There's a mess in the floor, but sandblasting really makes a mess. I don't know if you ever get it all out. You think?
No.
So I took a piece of red Scotch-Brite, and then at the same time I dipped my Scotch-Brite in lacquer thinner, and then I cleaned all this up. Now we're going to paint all this black from here and then down here. So all this here will be painted black. And I still got to Scotch-Brite that one more time. And then of course we're going to paint in here as well. And this is all going to be black. This won't be green. This is all black. And the way the factory did it, they had the black and then they would just come in and paint the green or whatever color we oversprayed. So Scotch-Brite is a good tool to use. And then what we'll do on our plate is I'll tape it off. And then on the last coat of paint, I'll pull it off. And then if you look right here, we're going to go ahead and paint up to this line. So that will be painted black from here down. You can see that they painted it green at the factory, but you can't see this, and we can just go ahead and paint it black and get it done and be done with it. So if we look at the bottom of the floor, you can see the floor is ready to paint. We did seam seal over here. We seam sealed the corners where we put our patch panels on. And we did it down there as well. That's very important to do. That's a crucial place where brush-on seam sealer should go. We've cleaned all the sand off. I'm going to go ahead and continue to scuff this down over here, get that ready. We'll flip it back over, and then I will tape it along this edge right here, all the way around with 2-inch tape. and then we'll do the other side and come back around, and then we'll wrap the car with plastic. So the car's getting done. Our seam sealer is now dry. Our patches came out good. They're not a hack job. If you want to call that a hack job, that's fine. I don't care. That's not a hack job. That's what you call saving money and doing the job properly. So I think it came out really nice, and we're ready to move forward.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
Alright, what we're doing, we're getting ready to paint the bottom of the Chevelle. It's Saturday. I wanted to go out riding our little motorcycles, but we got work to do. Anyway, so I am getting ready to paint the bottom. Now come on over here, let me show you this paint that we got. Now this is a paint that's made right here in Utah, but I want you to pay attention to, see that? It says alkyd enamel, quick dry, industrial. This is direct to metal. You don't have to use epoxy primer. You don't have to do nothing. You just spray it. I'm going to give you a little example. So the frame, the underneath of this car, the firewall, everything that's black that you see that looks like new almost, has been painted with that brand, alkyd enamel. This is 2 coats. That's all you need. I went ahead and had this all sandblasted and then repainted. So the alkyd enamel is the best choice when you are doing a job like this or possibly like our other car. Now the paint that I'm using is a semi-gloss. It's not a high gloss like I used on that. The reason I used high gloss on that is because it's got metal fender wells and I wanted it more glossy, shiny. This one has plastic fender wells in it. To get that OEM factory look, we're going to use semi-gloss black paint. If you look right here, this is the high gloss, okay? You're going to see this with the engine. I went ahead and painted the core support high gloss. Went ahead and painted the radiator bracket high gloss. That way when you look into the engine, it looks nice and new. If you look over here, this was painted with the high gloss. The one good thing about using alkyd enamel, it's not as expensive as if you used acrylic enamel or possibly single stage urethane, and it actually is specifically designed for this type of work. Let's just use for instance that frame, that rotisserie I got. That's something that you would use this paint on, anything industrial. But for doing bottom of cars and even inside on the floor of your vehicle, this would be a good choice. So this stuff is highly concentrated and doesn't even really require, like I said, it doesn't even require reducer, but we are going to put some reducer in it. So it only requires this much for a whole gallon, so you would split that in 4s. A little bit more. And I've already used that on another project. But however much hardener you put in, about equivalent or just a little bit more of the reducer, and that's all you need. Alright, that's pretty much 10%. So, right there, that's it. And then this quart here is ready to spray. There's a sprayable alkyd enamel right there. So what I'll do is I'm going to go get my hat to cover my hair, I'm going to mix up 2 quarts of paint. It's going to take 2 quarts to put 1 coat on. And we'll get that all made up. I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom of it, and then when we get done painting it, we'll come back and we'll look at it and see how beautiful it is. Well, we finally got the bottom of the car painted, and it came out really nice. We're going to take a look at it here in a minute. But if you notice, our foil really did the job. You can see it right here. And that's the way to go when it comes to doing this kind of action. So the paint we used on this was a semi-gloss. It was not high gloss. And I possibly could have went with a flat. But I think the semi-gloss came out really nice. And it looks better than factory, if you ask me. It looks beautiful. Let's take a look at our patch repairs. Here's one right here. Remember, I patched those up. There's another one there. There was a little one right here. And then straight down, there was a little one there. I also went ahead and seam sealed the floor braces. I went ahead and put seam sealer on that. And then I came back, and I don't know if I got this on film or not, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. I went ahead and got my brushable seam sealer, and I seam sealed in the corners where the rocker panels meet the inner fender wells on both sides. Here's the other one. And then we went around the lips, cleaned those up really, really nice, top and bottom, and then we went ahead and painted it. Now, these are all vent tubes. These are all vent tubes because this particular car actually has a vapor canister system. So it requires 4 vent tubes from the gas tank up to the engine and vapor canister. I told the owner not to replace these because they don't hold any fluid in them, and all they are is a vapor line, and he agreed not to spend the money on that. So I'm really happy with the outcome of the way that the bottom of the car came out. I also went ahead and painted this section black right here. That really saves us a lot of time from trying to paint all the green and not getting the frame painted and all that. We'll be able to tape it off right in this area and then drape the paper or plastic down. So I think it looks more professional this way than if we would have painted it green, because from the factory they actually painted green like down to here. But since the bumper covers all this and you don't see it, I prefer to paint it from the lip right here up down, and it just looks a lot better to me. So what we'll do now is we'll get the car back in the shop, and once we get the car in the shop, we'll go ahead and do overall body work to it while it's on the rotisserie. The reason I want to do it on the rotisserie, because it seems like being on the rotisserie, it's more of a right in your face situation than being on the car and on jack stands or down on the floor. Okay, we're going to get this back in the shop, and then once we get it in the shop, we're going to redo all the body work on it and make sure that it's flawlessly perfect. And then once that's done, back on the frame it goes, and it's on its way to be painted. Alright, so what we're doing here, we are actually block sanding the filler primer that we applied to it. And I see there's a spot right there. Huh, look at that right there, huh? Do you see where the sun is hitting this right here? There's a dip right here. We need to, yeah, right there where that body line is, there's a ding right here. You can clearly see it. So that's why it's important that you got to use your light sources to find all your imperfections. Here's another one right here that we noticed when I was using my air file. You can see this big area right here, but if you look really, really close, you can see that it's dark in the center, and then same right here. That's telling me that that is a low spot. When you come over here, you can see how it's all nice and solid. It all looks really even right here in this area. And that's what this primer is for. This is a primer for filler. Where you're looking at the gray right here, that's where we didn't need this primer, but everywhere else, it's leveling that out and making the surface really, really straight. So the first thing I did, I went over it with my air file. You saw that. Now what we'll do is we'll go over that with our block sander and continue to sand this out and see what's going on here, because I can feel that with my hand. But see, the thing is, when we first initially did our body work, it was not there. Does that make any sense? And kind of just like this right here, we didn't even see that. But I'll go ahead and put a piece of tape on it just like I did these areas here. And here's a good example. If you look right here, there's a ding right under that piece of tape. And then it's a little bit ripply right here under that tape. And then over here where we replaced this lower quarter panel, I think we replaced that. I'm not really too sure. I'll have to go back in the video sets. But this area was kind of funky feeling, so I went ahead and skimmed some filler in there to block it out to get the waves out of it. That might have been a factory imperfection in there, but we cleaned it up. So I'm just letting you know, I'm using 80 grit on this stage right here. This is our 80 grit stage where we are taking our feather fill primer, we're using it as a filler, and we're removing what we don't need. So I got my straight block here. You can see it's a big one, and I need to concentrate right here on this area. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this. And since this area has a small concaved area where it's flat right here and then it starts to curve right here, we're going to take this block and kind of blend that in. And now our body line looks really clean right here, and we actually fixed that area where our filler filled that imperfection in. So now we need to concentrate on this little episode right here. And if I continue to block it, we can see that we're hitting bare metal over here. We got bare metal here, and bare metal is starting to show right here, telling me that this is still low. So we'll go ahead and add filler to that. And before we mix our filler up, let's go ahead and block this out. And as I'm sanding it, I notice there's already some Bondo there. And then you can see, just by the way we're sanding here, there's a low spot right here, look. Okay, before we add our Bondo to the areas that need be, we want to try to get rid of some of this dust. And on this door right here, the only imperfection we got is right here, and it's very minor. Very, very minor. So we'll go ahead and remove this tape here. And I can see where it's at because it left a circle. So we're just going to take a little bit of this. Go like that. And then we got to clean this up right here. This edge. And then to finish that up, we'll go with this right here. Remember that low spot that was right here, right on that curve. We found that Bondo that was already there, remember? And then to finish it up, we're going to go right here. And it's not much, but you can tell there's some type of a door ding or something going on right here. So we want to make sure that we cover it good enough, but we fill the center in. We'll make sure that we feather it out and get the center of that really good, just like that. So what I try to do is I try to have two vehicles going at one time when I'm doing body work like this, because that way we're not wasting any material and I'm busting out two jobs at one time. So while all this Bondo's drying, what I'll do is I will work on sanding more of the Chevelle, and then once all this is dry, I'll come back and do the body work on this, clean this body work up, work on the Chevelle body work, and continue my process. So that's what we're doing today, guys. That's what we're doing today. Well, this is basically where we stopped the other day. Is we got to this door and I found out that the body work on this door was not as good as we did it when it was down on the ground. So this door was the worst of the body work on this vehicle right here, and I think somebody probably bashed into it. Somebody opened the door and dented it. Something happened to this door, but the good thing about the door, it's repairable and it wasn't rotted or rusted, and we were able to fix it. So we're going to go ahead and finish this up right here. I did fill it once already, but it had waves and imperfections in it. So I went ahead and went over it again with some Bondo, and the rest of the door feels really, really nice. All the body lines feel good on where the crease is, and the only problem we had was right here. Now, if you look at the quarter panel, you can already see I've already done the top of the vehicle. So once we get done with the door, all we got is this area to finish up on, to do our final body work. This is our final body work before we paint it. Actually, before we reprime it. We got to reprime the whole vehicle. But before we do that, we got to put this thing back on the frame, which I'm actually excited to have that done. This thing has been sitting on this rotisserie now for about 3 months, and getting it back down on the frame, hooking the gas tank back up to it, getting all the electrical done on it, and actually getting this thing started where it'll run again is a pretty exciting deal. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this out, but before I do that, we got to get this body work done on the door. Okay, it looks like we got this part fixed. It seems like it's a little bit low right here when I use my level as a straight edge. I can see right in here there's a little bit of a gap. But when I use it like this, yeah, there's still a little bit of a gap right here. So we're going to go ahead and leave this like it is. I think we're good right here. It seems a little high here. I'm going to go ahead and sand a little more of that off. But right here, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more, and I think we got this door covered.
School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.